how eager are you to get this rematch? Because I know it was supposed to be in March and it got delayed, but even before
I want to knock this motherfucker out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The male that y'all knew from when I was fighting 4 rounds, you know what I'm saying? And I was going there trying to end that 4-round fight with a knockout.
ASAP.
You know what I'm saying? And I want to be that guy for 12 rounds now.
What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, man. Hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and sub up real quick. I'll give you a few seconds to hit that red button down there that says subscribe. But anyway, man, big night tonight in the realm of sports, specifically the boxing realm. We're back with another big fight night, y'all. So we have Jermell Charlo versus Castano. Round 2. This is part 2 of a big first fight that happened last year. And look, last year it was a close fight. I think Castano surprised everybody. Castano definitely surprised Charlo. Definitely had Charlo on his back foot the whole fight. Had Charlo, on the ropes. And where, I know around 8 or 9, I started to question if Charlo was gassing out. And that's when he turned up the 10th round, 11th round, 12th round. Charlo still had a stiff jab. He still had his quickness. His hand speed was still there. He had a little bit more of. It took him a little while to understand Castano, the way Castano was coming at him. You know what I mean? And that's one danger of fighting Charlo's style as a counter puncher is that you might get hit with something pretty quite a few times trying to be a counter puncher against an aggressive fighter like Castano. So tonight, I'm going to say Jermell Charlo switches it up. I don't see him fighting him the same way he fought him the first time. The same way when he fought Harrison the first time and Harrison beat him up. Charlo did a lot of waiting, gave a lot of rounds away. Wasn't really aggressive, didn't really throw the jab out a lot in that first Harrison fight. And in the second fight, you can tell that he watched the fight. He made some adjustments. He changed his training. He, you can just tell that he was willing to tweak some things because in boxing, and in combat sports, period, whenever you have a rematch, you always want to see if the fighter that you expected to win the first fight can make some adjustments. Or does he have too much pride? Or does he want to win it his way? Or is he willing to meet the other boxer where he is and counteract based off of what he experienced in that first fight? That's what I'm going to be looking for in this fight. Now, they have it, I think, plus 300 for a Charlo knockout. I don't know, man. Castano seemed pretty sound defensively, but also Charlo didn't press him. Whenever Charlo pressed him, he made Castano look silly. Whenever he was the one stepping forward, whenever he was the one stepping forward, whenever he was the one throwing first and initiating the battles on the inside of the ring, he was successful. And he found success. Now, what neither fighter did and what neither fighter does a lot of is body work. You didn't see a lot of body work in that first round. It was all head hunting. Charlo is not a big body puncher. He's not a big body attack guy. I think they said 20% of his punches go to the body. That's a really low percentage. He's mainly like a Wilder type of guy with better footwork, obviously better mechanics, better skills. But he's waiting for that shot. He's a counter puncher to a fault sometimes, and sometimes he gives too many rounds away, and it leads to these fights that shouldn't really be fights. If Charlo had that Tyson, Wilder, if he had that aggression towards his power, he would be knocking these guys out left and right like he used to. But we'll see. I mean, as fighters get older, as they age, you see them become, I don't want to say less aggressive, but you see them become more tactical with how they use their power. A guy like Charlo who's used to knocking guys out. Obviously, a lot of fighters want to show that they can do what people think they can't. Now, Charlo's a great boxer from a boxing mechanic standpoint, but you want to see him go in this fight right here, aggressive. You want to see everything that he has to offer. Now, I did watch this interview where Charlo was saying that he was dealing with some injuries the first time around, and his back was tight, and sometimes his back does weird stuff to him, and saying his lower back was tight from the first fight or in the first fight. And he's saying that he's fully healthy this time around. So I don't expect, any excuses. Both guys are fully healthy. Both guys have had a good training camp. They look sharp at the weigh-in. I don't expect anybody to have any excuse for why they're not on top of their game tonight. Now, I will say this. They have the fight being a draw again at plus 1,800. So Vegas does not expect there to be a draw. And I'm not too far out from thinking that it could be a draw again because, you know, I can't really see Charlo fighting another style, man. I can't really see him being as aggressive as Castano. And after the way that fight ended, you know, those last 2 or 3 rounds of that last fight, man, you would think that Charlo has the blueprint. And he says in the interview that, you know, he's healthy this time around. He says he's going to get him up out of there early. Charlo's wife is all on Twitter saying that there's going to be a knockout. He's going to get him up out of there early. We're going to see, man. We're going to see. I don't know. I don't know. The way that Castano fights, and the thing is, he was like half as aggressive as he usually is in that fight against Charlo. So the way Castano usually fights doesn't mix well with the counterpuncher, you know, saying he's gonna knock him out. That doesn't sit right with me. You know, like from my vantage point, the way Charlo is fighting him leads to another draw or a split decision, you know, more than a knockout for either guy. Now, what you want to see are both of these guys coming in and executing their game plan. You know, we should know what the game plan is by the 2nd or 3rd round. We should know what both guys have in store for the fight. Charlo usually gives some rounds away at the beginning. Castano left some rounds up in the air in that first fight that he could have taken. You know, he was doing this thing where, you know, he did nothing until about a minute, 20 seconds left. Now he's throwing flurries and combinations. And over the course of the fight, you would think Charlo will get the hang of that, but he just didn't catch on fast enough, or maybe his back was too tight. Like he said, he looked fine to me, health-wise, athletic-wise. He looked fine. You know, his head movement was good. He wasn't stiff like his back was hurting. If you ever had a back injury, boxing is not a sport that you can effectively do while your back hurts. It's just not. You know, you need your back. You need your back to be loose. You need it to be flexible. You need to have quick movements with your back. You can't really have much tightness and perform on a grand stage in a boxing match. That's just not, that doesn't really click with me. So I expect man, this is a tough fight because you don't know. I feel like Castano thought he got robbed and that he's not going to mess around. I feel like he messed around in a few of those rounds playing with his food because he had Charlo hurt one time and he had him on the ropes for most of the first half of the fight. Didn't really apply the same pressure that I've seen him apply to some of his other opponents. And obviously that's because of Charlo's power. And Charlo's power doesn't really wane over the course of a fight. It doesn't really, that's where he's a lot like Wilder, is that his power is still there. It doesn't matter if he's been hurt, he's been knocked down, if he's been on the ropes the whole fight, if he's just counter punching, if he's on his back foot, front foot, you know, if he's rolling out, it doesn't matter. Charlo's power is there, and it's on any punch. He's knocked the guy out with his jab. You know, the hook is there. He doesn't throw a lot of uppercuts. That's one thing I would like to see, just because Castano's guard is really high. You know, he has his guard high all the time. I would really like to see Charlo get up in there and find an uppercut over the course of this fight. I would really like to see Charlo up his body work to, you know, maybe the 35-40% range, and maybe that'll keep Castano from being so aggressive later on in the fight. I want to see how these guys switch it up, man. I'm ready for this fight. Yo, after Canelo's loss last week, you know what I mean? Boxing is back, bro. Boxing is here, man. You know, we're waiting on ESBC, and hopefully EA drops some news about whatever they got going on in the next year or so. But boxing is here, man. May is packed. We got the Charlo fight tonight, obviously. Jared Boots in his fights tonight. You want to check that out. He's, you know, he's at the top of his game right now, and you want to see as many boxers at the top of their game as possible. It's one of the finest things in sports that you could ask to see, is a boxer that's in his prime and on top of his game. Let's see what else we have next. Man, we got Devin Haney and Ken Bosis coming up June, the first weekend of June, man. And that's nothing to sniffle at. That's going to be a unification fight, and I know everybody wants to see where Haney is when it comes to like top tier prime opposition. Kambosos coming off of that Teofimo Lopez win, and really needs a strong title defense. They're going to try to unify that thing up, man, and that's going to be a fight to watch. We're going to have to watch that one together, yo. Devin Haney, Kambosos June 1st. But tonight we have to get through this Charlo fight. We have to see how this plays out. That draw at plus 1,800 is looking good to me. It's looking safe. To put in $100 and get 1,800 back, that's worth it. That's risk versus reward wise. That's where it's at for me tonight. None of the other odds looked even worth looking at. Like the plus 300 and plus 120. That ain't worth looking at. I'm looking at that plus 1,800 at a draw, and I'm looking at a third fight between these guys. That's my call. I want to lean Charlo decision, but I'd rather go for the draw. I'd rather say, hey, they'll draw this thing up. If these guys fight the same way they fought last time, it'll be a draw again. It'll be a draw again. If you have Charlo giving away rounds and Castano starting off with flurries, Castano getting hurt at some point in the middle of the fight or towards the end of the fight and losing the last half of the fight, that sounds like another draw, and that sounds like something that can happen again. I really can't see Castano changing up his game plan too much, other than being more aggressive in the first half of rounds, so the judges aren't so conflicted about it at the end of the fight. That's what I'm thinking Castano's going to go after. After they said draw, just look at Castano's face and you can see, like, yo, damn, man, I let this shit slip away, bro. You could really see it, man. So he had him, but Charlo has that power, and he hurt him. Whereas Castano's throwing 5, 6, 7 punches in a flurry, Charlo hitting him with 1 or 2 punches is really equal. So that's what the judges saw. Whereas Castano might Charlo might jab straight, and that's the same. That straight. As long as Charlo follows up with a straight, he'll be okay. Yo, let's tune in. I might be back later today with another video, man. I might have to talk about this a little bit more. I have some other points I want to make on this fight before it happens, but I wanted to go ahead and get this out there, yo. If you're still here, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. You already know what to do, man. It's boxing time.